Hi, so this is a video on why I think Masimo is a very interesting investment. So Masimo, if you don't know what it is a medical monitoring company. It basically builds medical devices and equipments for hospitals and stuff, like pulse monitoring. I think it checks for like oxygen and non-invasive oxygen in the bloodstream, something like that of the sort. And so it's a pretty simple investment thesis why I like it. Mainly it's because I think the company's undervalued and it recently went through, sort of a giant valuation crisis. So Massimo was founded by this guy called Joe Chiani, and he's a medical device engineer who founded this thing, the pulse oximeter or something it's called, and became a very successful company. But recently he had a very large acquisition, I think for over $1 billion, of an auditory company, so a company that makes headphones and like headsets and that kind of stuff. And investors didn't like that, so the stock crashed. But interestingly enough, what his thesis on it is that he can use the technology he got from this acquisition to integrate into his own technology and make a very, very new and improved home product. So basically, medical monitoring from home. And that's a huge innovation. We've seen like the Internet of Things coming around, and I think that's going to be a massive sector of innovation and profits in the future. And this guy's capitalizing on that. And although I might be a little biased here, I think a lot of the times when you have these very visionary billionaires who own a very large part of their company stock and making these big bets on the future, it usually turns out pretty well. The shining example of that would be Jeff Bezos, who made all these weird bets and technology and innovation investments, and they seem to work out wonderfully. And so I think this guy is like another version of that, this Joe Chiani guy. He's seeing something that's happening in the future. He's clearly putting a lot of his own money on the line. The guy owns like 5% of the business, and that's over $327 million, I think. And so clearly this guy's making a big bet on the future. He has his own skin in the game, and he seems to be a guy who really knows his stuff. From what I've read, this is a dude who's extremely perseverant, a guy who's bust through everything to make his company successful. I heard that he had struggles getting his, products into hospitals early on, but then it exploded once his new innovation came out. And so clearly a guy who you want in charge. He's got the means and the motivation to build something like this. And the fact that he's already trying to capitalize on something like, home monitoring, which is the next phase of medical monitoring in my personal opinion. I genuinely think that this guy's onto something. And of course, he knows more than I do. He knows more than most of us do, including his investors. And so I think that's actually maybe a very smart investment. The stock is down, I think, like 60, 70% from its highs. So it's just a very attractive investment to me. And I think that this company it's a hit or miss in the end. It's almost like a lottery ticket. If he works out and his bet works out, and this company turns out to become a very large medical monitoring company, then that's wonderful. And I think it'll become a very large, dominant business then. If it doesn't, don't put all your portfolio in it, but I think it's just a very asymmetrical investment. There's a lot of reward for not that much risk. The company's PE is kind of high, but it does have growth. So worst comes to worst, you have kind of a middle value company that doesn't really do much. But if it works out, it could be a massive player in the healthcare space. So that's my thesis, maybe right or not right, but I think it's interesting and definitely something